You know, as someone that doesn't really like the Cyberpunk game that much at all, I have to say I'm very surprised how good Cyberpunk Edge Runners actually is. And of course, it has nothing to do with the fact that Lucy is an absolute baddie, bro. Oh my God, bro. Like, I hate how, like, you know, my anime reviews are about girls being like smoke shows, but I mean, dog, like, I guess I found my weakness after all. You know, when I was a kid, I used to be like, those who watch hentai are like, really are like, you know, fucking weirdos. And while I don't watch hentai, I could see the appeal of it, you know, I could see it. So, you know, Christmas is coming up, guys. Get me some anti-horny spray. That would be really dope. That would be J2 dope. Actually, I'm having fun on this channel. This is fun. And yeah, so let's talk about Edge Runners, right? So I was a little late to the party. All right, I watched it about a year after it came out, and holy shit, like, I waited way too long to watch this show, right? My friend Niall was talking to me about the anime before I watched it, and I was like, I told him, I was like, I hate watching animes that only have one season, because I feel like it just, like, it gets me to a point where I really like it, and then it's just over immediately, right? And me, someone that has attachment issues, I don't want something to be in my life for one week and then it just be gone forever. Now, luckily, it just got released, you know, it got picked up for season 2. I'm wondering how that's gonna go. We'll talk more about that in a future video, but you know, when Niall told me it was only one season, and I told him I was a little hesitant on watching it, he said the story tells the story it needs to tell, right? That they tell the story they need to tell in one season. And usually that's not the case. Usually shows that have one season leave a ton of things out. And while they might have, I haven't really critiqued it too much as in terms of the plot. I feel like he's actually true. And I told him I'd have to watch it and see what's up, and he was right. So by the way, this video contains some spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, just click off the video. Before you do that, obviously just hit the subscribe button. That would be great. I'm up to 20 subscribers now. That'd be dope. That would be J2. Okay, stop. Okay, so all right. So what I love about Edge Runners is the plot. All right, Edge Runners is a story about a setting and a complementary group of characters. Funny enough, this is very similar to Halo Reach, where the setting is the protagonist and the characters that live in the setting are a smaller part of the story. And like, and the setting and like the city that they're in is more so the what the story is about, which I think is really cool. It's not often where you meet. There's very few stories where the show is, or the story is about a setting in particular. It's normally about a characters in a setting, but this is about a setting that is complemented by a group of characters. Since Night City is, you know, affects every part of the story, we're going to talk about Night City first, right? Let's discuss that one first. Night City's fucking crazy, right? It is a crazy world. It's dark and murderous, and chaos is the currency. It's the fucking going rate, and everywhere you look, there's armed robbery, there's drugs, there's gangs, there's people getting their fucking heads blown off. It's insane, right? Everyone in the city is just trying to survive, right? And this makes working a 9 to 5 in Night City not really possible, you know, to an extent. So within this city, right, there's criminal organizations that give subsidiary criminals, like, there's criminal organizations that give subsidiary criminals jobs for a little bit of cash, almost like pimping out like illegal activities to criminals, I guess, is like the easiest way to put that, right? And these people are called Edge Runners, right, or Cyberpunks, and that's where our group of characters come into play, right? The story does a really good job in showing you the highs and lows of living their lifestyle. You see them having a good time at a club, drinking, partying, the little lolly girls giving that dude a hand job, which I think is, I mean, I'm not really into lolly personally, but I know like some people are, which I think is weird, but I mean that they're having a good time in the show, and apparently the girl's over the age of 18, so who fucking knows, right? But you know, after a couple of missions, someone gets their fucking head blown off. Just, I mean, that's kind of how it goes, right? And you know, it's not all too surprising, you know, where they live, of course, but the crew is pretty devastated. So that, you know, you see the highs and then you see the lows. Like, they have a good time, someone gets killed. They have a good time, someone gets killed. And it's pretty devastating, right? And one by one their crew is just picked apart and murdered. I love shows that take off the training gloves, right? I love shows that aren't afraid to show death because it really adds weight and gravity to scenes. And I think that's what Edge Runners does really well, is like, I'm so tired of people getting out of situations that like they literally should never ever get out of. And it just bothers me that so many stories, especially anime in particular, do this. Is like they ruin their story by not introducing death. And I think that in death there is life, right? If someone dies an amazing death and like it's honorable and noble and commendable, and it really impacts the story, I think their death is worth more than their life, if their life isn't really worth a whole lot because it's watered down by an unlikely story, I would say, or an unrealistic story. I hope that makes sense, right? So, you know, like every time someone's in a dangerous situation and you're on the edge of your seat, because you just never know who's going to die, right? You never know who's going to die. You never know what to expect, and that's what makes villains like Homelander such a good villain, because it's like, is he gonna, what is he gonna do? No one fucking knows, right? Homelander's obviously from The Boys, right? And the ending of Edge Runners is so fucking powerful, man. Like, David gets killed by a far superior opponent, but he saved Lucy and allowed her to live her dream to go up to the moon, right? I like this a lot because everything in life, and like not everything in life is a happy ending. Not everything in life is a happily ever after. Sometimes you don't have a happy ending in the way that you want, and that, in my opinion, is just much cooler of an ending, because it's like something that we can relate to more as people, right? When you watch these like Disney fairy tales and you see a happily ever after, you're like, okay, yeah, but like realistically, like when does Cinderella cheat, bro? Like when does Elsa, I don't know, fucking what else? When does she lie to whoever she dates? I don't know. I didn't really watch Frozen that much. And we can relate more to not have happily ever afters. Sorry, I'm getting my tongue twisted here. Not happily ever afters more than we can relate to happily ever afters. And I think having David die at the end to give life to somebody else and allow her to pursue her dream, I think is a sacrifice worthy of, him no longer being in the story. And if they do continue with that group of people, in season 2, I think the weight of him not being in the story and the remembrance and the somber of the characters for like what he sacrificed will add to the story in a big way. And I really love the ending of him of him dying almost like a pointless death. He was chewed up and spit out by Night City. Now, we talk a lot about animation too whenever we talk about anime, because, well, animation, right? And the animation is really unique. It's not very flashy like Demon Slayer, or I just did a review on Solo Leveling. It's not like a lot of like jump cuts like that. It's more so like colorful, like a kaleidoscope of like animation. I think it's really unique. I think it's really unique in the way that they go about their animation to show fights. And of course, there's still some flashy things going on, but it's not like what you would think, if that makes sense. Like it's more, you know how Luffy does Gear 5 and they do like the Looney Tunes type of thing? It's unique kind of like that. It's nothing like Looney Tunes, but it's unique in the way that they design it. So I really like that. Also, the music is fucking incredible. I think Edge Runners has the best music soundtrack I've ever experienced in my entire life. It is incredible. Everyone knows the get away and never let you feel like you didn't let yourself to, like, anyone that like listens to that just knows, bro. Like it's goated. It's top tier. There's nothing better. I think a really cool thing is, while I don't like the Cyberpunk Edge Runners, or I'm sorry, I don't like Cyberpunk the video game, I know a lot of people absolutely love the game and think it's a fantastic game. So if you really want to like to kind of like be even more immersed in the story, you can go play the game. Now, I personally don't like it. I think it's just like way too much, and it just gives me a headache. There's just too much to do. And personally, I don't know if it's my computer or what, but like it feels very like skippy, and it actually makes me dizzy playing the game because there's just so much going on, and I don't think the rendering is that great. We don't have to talk about the game right now, but I'm just saying why I don't play it. I think what's sad is like the only real complaints that I have about this anime is that it's so short that you don't really get to see a lot of character development or any like prolonging plot. Or I guess prolonged plot. Is prolonging a word? I'm not sure. With one season shows like this, it's really just hard. It's hard to attach yourself to characters because they're just gone, right? And like, since there's also a time skip in the middle of the season. Like there's a time skip in the middle of the season of one season anime. So it's like, well, like that's a good way to kind of understand, I guess, to an extent, like their character and the way that they developed, but like you don't get to see the inner makings of it, right? You don't get to see how they actually were able to progress as a character as much as you normally should. And I think that's a little bit of a problem, because if we had multiple seasons of like the characters, having a good time and then going through a bad time, having a good time, going through a bad time, and each time they go through a hard time, they learn a new lesson, right? And like each time they go through a good time, it's almost like a caveat of, okay, we went through it this time, but we shouldn't be too, after like the fourth or fifth good time that they have, they start feeling like, okay, we're having a good time, but this time it's not as euphoric as the last because, of what we've lost, right? And it's almost, it's just like life, right? It's just like life, where it's like you could be having a great time, but you still are somewhat affected by like the demons and the ghosts of your past, so like you have a little bit of like remembrance, right? And then it helps progress you in a way, your character in a way that is normal and natural. So I think if we had more seasons and more episodes of them like showcasing that, I feel like we'd have a lot more to talk about, and also a lot better of a review to talk about in terms of like character development, because we didn't really have a lot of character development, unfortunately, because of the time skip. There's not really anything to talk about in terms of that. Other than that, I think Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a crown jewel of anime. I think if you haven't seen this yet, it is incredible. It is beautiful. It is impactful. It's just an amazing watch, and I highly recommend you giving it a watch over like a chill weekend or even a chill day. If you really want to just like be lazy and like binge watch something, you can binge watch the whole anime in one day. I would give this a 9 out of 10 on my Jomometer. I think it is just a fantastic, beautifully impactful anime that has a lot to offer and is culturally really relevant. So if you do watch it, eventually you're going to run into someone that has seen it and you can have stuff to talk about, and then you can make a new friend. Look at that. But this has been J2 Dope, and I'm signing out. Peace.